Okay.
Or it may have notified you anyway. Looks like Pam is joining, and I know Tom's going to be here.
Yeah, we have two people on phone, but they're not identified.
Yeah.
One of them is me, Jeff.
Okay.
'Cause I've joined by phone just so the audio comes through clear. And then I think one of them is Hank Benesh as well.
Okay.
I think he's muted at the moment. Hi, Pam.
Pam, I think you're muted.
It's telling me that Pam does not have a microphone.
Did she, when she signed in, click on to use the computer audio?
Right. Stay. I know, tough. Hey, Tom.
Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Oh.
Wow. Relax.
Oh, Tom, you're big.
Uh-oh. Yeah.
Oh, you man.
All right. I'm quickly writing down notes so I can just go over to the other screen. All right, so it looks like we've got everyone that's gonna be here, I think. Who are the two caller in? Do we know?
One of them is me, Jeff.
Huh?
I am calling in so that the audio is clear because the video for me, for my internet, doesn't always work. And then Hank is calling in as well.
Awesome. Well, that's great. Okay. Well, let's, hi everyone. We can get the meeting started. I think this is all that we're gonna have, unless Mike. To start off, can we just go around and say our names as our official roll call for the recording? So, Chair, Tom Seidel.
Vice Chair, Brian Byrne.
Ken Kimball?
Pam Smiley.
Ben
Jeff Sayers?
Halcyon.
All right, we got Ben and Jeff together. Great, we're all six here. I'm going to start off by saying, welcome, Ben. Welcome to the Conservation Commission. Sorry, your first meeting is this way.
Oh, that's quite all right.
It's good to have you here. You've been to our meetings before, so you kind of know that we're relatively informal. I think we only vote when we have to. I don't know what other kind of protocol items there are. I think tonight, I see your cat, Jeff. Tonight, I think we're gonna have to vote by name on anything that we vote on. I think that's the only thing that's different.
Okay.
So I'm going to start with our election, and as you all know, I'm hoping to no longer be chair by the end of this meeting, and I have spoken with some, if not all of you, in person in between meetings. I guess I figured we'd have kind of a conversation about all of our different roles and then go from there. And I guess I'll play it really straightforward and kind of like lay the cards on the table as I see them with who's got interest in what position, unless there's anyone right now who would like to stick their hand up and say, I really, really would love to be chair. All right. So from my take is Pam, Brian, and Mike would love to continue to be active members, but are not interested in a leadership role. And Ken and Jeff would be willing to take it on, but are not particularly interested in additional responsibilities in their life. So I think we are looking at a way to support Ken or Jeff in a new role. And there's a couple ways that might make that easier for them, which is either shedding some responsibilities onto the rest of us. I know you can't co-chair, but somehow sharing in between them, and potentially putting an end date on it and informally having a rotating chairmanship, I don't know the gender neutral form of that, chairship for Conservation Commission, so that whoever starts knows that there's someone of waiting in the wings to kind of to take over next. So those are all of the thoughts and to summarize all the thoughts and conversations I've had. I don't know if anyone would want to jump in with thoughts right now.
No, I mean, I guess the only part I would say is if it is rotating, but somebody wanted to stay as chair, is that still in the cards? Just so you don't have to have a rotating chair if somebody wants to just remain as the chairman and we vote to keep them there, or are we saying that it's just going to rotate?
I mean, I think we could, well, I guess we could, I actually don't know my Robert rules well enough to know if we could just put that into, we don't really have bylaws, but soon we could have the informal understanding that the chair position can be rotating, and if someone is interested and eager, and they could stay. And obviously there's a vote every year, so there's always a chance where if people are unhappy, that you can change it on an annual basis. There's no, you're not locked in. It's not like we're voting for a U.S. president where you're there for 4 years.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Tom, I think if we were to do a rotating chair, my recommendation would be to do it for a person would take it for a year and then pass it on to somebody else. I think if we tried to do it every other meeting, it would not only be confusing internally, but I think externally as well, for the selectmen and so on and so forth. It would get to be confusing.
Yes. Yep. I definitely agree.
I mean, as I told Tom when he asked me, I'm the newbie on the board. I've also chaired a lot of things, and if some of you who are still in your career want the experience, I would rather see that happen than the fact that, I go chair one more thing in my life where it doesn't matter on my resume or anything anymore. But Jeff, I also recognize that I'm in a different position because I'm retired and most of you are not, which is a little different. But Jeff, are you willing to take the first year if I took the second year, or?
Yeah, I think I'd be willing to do that. I think I feel similarly in that I'm fairly new to the commission, and so in that sense, I would tend to defer to someone who's been on the commission for a little bit longer. But not seeing that there's anyone explicitly interested in it that has been on it longer than I have, I would be willing to do it. And I think the year end date, at least, to have that opt-out potential at some point would be beneficial in making that decision. So I would be willing to do it. I think, I'd definitely look for some support from some of the folks that have been on it for longer than I have to, obviously, as you always have, chime in on things that are historical issues potentially that I don't have as much background knowledge on. So expressing that slight discomfort with the idea, I think I'd be willing to give it a shot.
Great. I'd be happy to help you any way I could.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
great.
All right. So
And I'll be happy to do a lot of the legwork. I'm tired of being the bureaucrat.
It's a really sweet Gmail account that you get to inherit. Whoever.
Wow.
Chair.
Wow. Now that you throw that in.
All right, I will make a nomination of the suite of, let's see, it would be Jeff for chair, Brian for vice chair, and did we have a secretary?
We
No.
don't, and we should vote for one again. It's become apparent in the last year that there's some responsibilities that Susan shouldn't take on in her role as taking the minutes. That we should have a secretary to take care of. Anyone willing to be secretary out of this group?
What sort of things are you talking about, Tom?
Specifically, the one thing off the top of my head is the letters to the landowners is something that could just use potentially a little extra coordination between the town office and Susan. So we wouldn't necessarily have to pay Susan to be sending those letters out every year. That's really the one thing, I guess, specifically I'm thinking of. where the town office has asked us to not lean on them as much in terms of like hitting the print button. Like we can use the printer, but we should be the one hitting the print button, I guess.
But are we allowed to actually write the letters and
Yes.
send them out ourselves?
Yes, it is. Yes. Yeah. So I think that's the specific task. And then there would just be, and I guess the other thing that I could think of would be any coordination that would need to happen with Susan or whomever fills that role that the chair wanted help on, whatever, either editing minutes or that kind of thing, but nothing, I think, really, nothing involving a lot of work that I can see. So it wouldn't be taking the minutes of the meeting. That would still be the paid position where we have someone take the minutes. So it would be either helping move the minutes in a better direction or whatever, or getting those annual letters out to the landowners. So just a little coordination. Is it something you'd be willing to do? Is that the question?
I would be willing to do, although minutes are not my thing. I always get in trouble because
Yes.
I'm more of a note taker than a minute taker. So
Yeah.
I'd be happy to do the letters and yeah. So, it's needed.
Okay, that'd be great.
Okay, I will add Pam on as the secretary for the nomination. I guess you'll need a second on that.
Yes.
On that.
All right, Brian seconds. I, Tom, vote in favor. Let's get the other three.
Aye.
All right, I think can you just each say your name? I don't know if we need to, but if that's the impression I get, we should do. So I'll go, Pam, how do you vote on that?
Aye.
Ben, how about you?
Aye.
Jeff? It's an aye from Jeff. Ken, I assume it's an aye since you proposed
Aye.
it. Brian,
Brian,
same.
aye.
All right, we all 6 have voted. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Pam.
I realized I was on mute. I don't know if that's a problem or not, but I think you got you read my lips potentially.
Yes. Yeah, I sure did.
And Tom,
I
thank
have
you
to
so
step
much
away
for.
for 30 seconds to pull something out of the oven, but I will be back.
But Tom, I just wanted to thank you for all your hard work that you've done as chair over the years.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you very much. You've done a great job.
Thanks. It's been fun. And I'm excited.
Appreciate it, Tom.
All right. Well, I will continue to run the rest of the meeting, I guess. And the 2 items I actually should flip back and forth to the agenda I wrote out. But we'll go to Jackson Falls first. Okay. And I realize looks like I have not done some things that I said I would do since we last met 2 months ago. Namely, ask town office to remind us on the process for asking for funds from a trust. So I guess the question that we just need to answer tonight is, do we still want to do the plantings this year? And then if so, how to pay for it? And I think we could still get an application, I believe, into the trust, but it's possible we wouldn't be able to the Wildcat Trust.
Why not?
Just in case, I think it's simple as we get a really quick written description of, we want to plant these things, want the saw, whatever it is that we want to do. We put some realistic dollar amounts on it. We send it to the trust. More or less in that week, they say, yeah, that looks great, or no, it doesn't look great. And then we would know if they were willing to fund it out of the trust.
Is that what we did last time, Tom?
We did. I had maybe because the fence was a little more complicated and they wanted to know exactly where it was going. We kind of had a 2-page document with a map of where we were going to put the fence and really got into the specifics of what the fence was. I would imagine we wouldn't need something quite as involved this time. It really could be more of a, we're doing plantings like we have been type thing I think they just need realistic estimates.
So there's no time limit. It's just a matter of a planting window.
Yes, I believe so. It could be that there's a time limit that I don't remember, but again, I should have checked on that. So I think it could be a quick process. There's the chance, I guess I'm saying there's the chance it could be a quick process if there were,
Yeah. So I guess we should talk about how we would be able to plant stuff with social distancing.
Yeah.
Basically, I've got somebody who's willing to has a little bobcat and would be willing to move the dirt, which is which is the hard part. And then last year when Ken, Jeff, and I and Bob Santoro moved the sod, it didn't take us much more than an hour, I don't think. What do you think, Ken?
Yeah, it wasn't a great amount of time, and if the sod is there at the same time as the soil, we could probably just cut pieces, put it in the front end of the little bobcat and get it as close as possible to those sites and
Right.
do it rather quickly.
But do you see that a problem with social distancing and that sort of thing?
I mean, I don't.
Okay.
You know,
Well, you're outside.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the highway, the New Hampshire DOT, et cetera, they're out there working all the time. I mean, if somebody's uncomfortable, they shouldn't go and do it. I would never want to pressure somebody into that position, but I think we can, if you're standing a couple feet apart and it's going to be for very few seconds each time when we plop it down,
Right.
Speaking for myself, I think the risk factor is mighty low.
Okay.
Is there a town policy on anything like that right now? Like town of Jackson, do they have any restrictions on town personnel or town, I guess, commissions doing
When I
things that
by the fire
are in that?
station and
Yeah. The fire station guys are as close as you can be.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to the town policy besides that the office is closed and, no in-person meetings.
Seems like something that would generally be allowable if people were comfortable with it right now.
And if it was
And I
less,
Yeah.
And I think the government, go ahead, Pam.
I was just going to say, and if it's less than 10 people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the governor's task force has allowed like lawn maintenance and gardening and all that sort of stuff is a legitimate outdoor thing. I think if we were doing something that was contradictory to the governor's orders, it would be different.
Well, I think the stay-at-home order is scheduled to end on June 15th, so I don't know what will still be in place beyond that, but and not that that's the end all and be all of what we should be comfortable doing.
And even if they don't move, and if they don't move down the no parking at the falls, do we have to get permission from the town?
I imagine we would obviously let them know that we want to do it,
Right.
remind them that we have been doing it and, the plan's there, but I don't foresee that being a problem. And we could contact both Pat and our representative on the select board.
I think the better argument is we want to do it quickly before the falls are opened up.
Yeah.
Good point.
I think it's kind of an interesting experiment, about there not being any parking this spring.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one season, but it's interesting.
I will say I found that there was a lot of trash down there between Memorial Day and the next week. A lot of toilet paper, paper towels, napkins, discarded clothing, towels. People have been using it and really kind of nasty,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate.
Yeah. That they carry it back to their car.
I know, but they can't. So they leave it in the little crevices and underneath. It's really kind of yucky. It's like, who wants to pick that up?
Yeah. Well, I think it's an interesting, education from our perspective, because we've talked about putting a sign up there, that probably wouldn't include like a where to park map, but people clearly are figuring out how to get there on their own without any signing whatsoever about the public parking available in the village. They're dropping them.
Some are parking right in front of the no parking signs.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
definitely been really quiet there. I mean, there's so few people there. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, and it looks good too.
It does. It is helping it regrow.
Yeah.
Sure.
Although I was wondering if maybe we should be looking at it in terms of, do we need to do any thinning or anything like that? It just occurred to me when I was down there, probably because there aren't any people and I'm really looking around.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'd have to be judicious, right? Because we're trying to let the undergrowth come up.
Yep,
Not quite return to the old days of mowing
right.
45 feet.
Yeah, but I mean, if people go down there and they take a look, because what happens is you get stuff growing up and it's shading out things underneath. There might be blueberry bushes or, interesting plants.
Yes. Yeah.
Just a thought.
No, yeah, I think it's a, I definitely like blueberries, and I don't know the sessional history of blueberries if you let things grow above it, but I guess that is kind of a question of what nitty gritty do we want to get into on the new approach of letting nature take its course, and not mowing.
Right.
You can have that view from the road to the falls as a way to keep foot traffic down and to where we want it. All right. So it sounds like we all want to do the sod and we're willing to go do the work and we have a way to move it. So it's really, it looks like Pam, you had numbers for both the sod and the loam, right? Estimates for them?
Right. Yeah. And last year, Fred Henry donated his time and material. It would be
Okay.
nice to recognize people who have done that.
Yeah, that is definitely great. Okay. So how about you and I together, we'll email, or I can email Julie, and then ask for the process to contact the Wildcat Trust. And then if that falls through, the backup would be using the other fund, like the general change of use fund that we have access to, which I know we discussed not doing, but it's a readily source of money to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. Great. So I guess if we're talking about, do you remember the numbers off the top of your head, Pam? I could look at your email.
it was like $1,300 for the sod for 2 10-foot square plots. Although somebody just gave me a figure, and that's delivered, and somebody just gave me from another company that's, I guess, also in Freiburg, $550 per 10-foot square, but nobody said anything about delivery, so I'd have to check on that. So I might be able to get it cheaper, but in any event, it's $1,300 for the 2 plots. That's what I had the quote for. $200 for the 5-6 yards of loam delivered.
Do you remember if that price is from Maine Turf or if that's from Green Thumb?
Green Thumb. Maine Turf was the other one that said $550.
Okay, I'm actually going to meet with the owner of Maine Turf on Saturday morning.
Oh, great, because he's a junior. I don't know if he's Doug Jr. What is his name?
Oh, he's a friend of a friend's. He's helping us move a ski grinder.
Oh, okay.
So we're kind of swapping bike maintenance and ski grinder move, and this could be
Okay.
better.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so let me see what he can do. Maybe he can
Okay. See if you can find about the delivery charge, because from what I
Yeah.
understand, once a week somebody goes up to somewhere in Maine and they cut the sod and bring it back down. And all we're looking for is the native mixed sod.
I think we just want to make sure that the sod is like the last load, which has a lot of the natives that we're looking for as opposed
Yeah,
to.
that was good stuff, don't you think, Ken?
Yeah, I mean, if we get a grass or turf sod, that's not really what we're looking for.
No.
So
we're
I'll
looking-
confirm. I'll confirm that with him. I've talked sod with him and his friend the other day.
And you've seen the plot down there, right?
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
It's got, blueberries, bunchberries, that sort of stuff in it.
And wintergreen and moss and all that, yeah.
Okay. So if I've got that summarized, 2 sources, would it be 1,500 for what we want to expend, right?
Well, it was more than that because we have to put down peat moss and some compost and we're gonna get the fencing around it.
Okay.
So I don't recall exactly what those numbers were, but I think the amendments were probably $100.
Yeah.
And then the fencing might have been 150.
Okay.
Fence the existing one and then 2 more.
So 3
All right.
times as much, or
I'm sorry?
are we planting twice as much as last time?
Right. Yeah, because we did 1 10 by 10 and now
Right.
we're going to do two more.
So double.
Ken and I talked about where to put them. But I'm certainly open to anything else that anybody else wants to do.
Okay.
Because there's plenty
So-
of places.
Timely notice, Bob Santoro, I think, just joined the meeting. I didn't see, I had an email from him asking for the password a few minutes ago. So I think he just joined the meeting. I didn't know if he had something to contribute to this conversation in particular.
No, I just wanted to listen in. No, thanks.
Okay, gotcha.
All right. Hi, Bob. Welcome to the meeting.
How are you?
Do it.
Bob.
All right. So I think we're looking for a motion to, if I did my math right, expend roughly $1,850 on the sod and all of the things to go along with it. Does that sound right?
Yes.
So I guess, I don't know, I will propose that we do that. Do I have a second?
Brian will second that.
Brian seconds it. All right. Jeff, what do you think?
I'm in favor. Aye.
All right. Ken,
Aye.
Ben,
I guess I'm not fully read up if I can abstain from that, but I think it will carry without me. So
all right. Pam,
Aye.
yeah. Okay, great. So Pam and I will work to figure out of which of the two funds the money comes, but we either way we have it. And then Pam and Brian will work on getting the sod and letting us know when we should come help.
And I think if we can get another load of wood chips, we could use it.
Yep, I'll get on that.
Right.
And I
We
think,
should- oh, sorry, go
Brian,
ahead,
if we can get those, have them dump it right down, but not block where the emergency egress point is.
Go down, further down the path.
Yeah, because that's where we need to put a lot of it, down in the lower part.
Okay.
Ben, sorry to jump in the middle of the falls that way.
oh,
We have a new member. I'll give the super quick synopsis and pass on what electronic materials aren't on the town website. But we've been trying to reduce erosion at Jackson Falls after the two large rain events in the last, I guess it's 8 years now. And basically have two plans off we're working, which the short version of was to walk on paths and then to try to get understory regrowth in other locations to protect the roots of the overstory trees, and basically keep the area a little more natural looking and a little more able to take heavy rains.
okay. Yeah, I did look through all of the documents on the Google Drive. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else for the falls? I think that was the big item I saw.
No.
All right, on to, I think, I'll switch back. Still weird to be reading and realize that you are still able to look at me. I can't see this.
You look so intense. Let's put it that way.
All right, so I've got Prospect Farm next on the list, and I will start off. The forester has been up there and has done on the ground stuff. He actually emailed me last night, and I thought I had sent him our survey a month ago, and apparently that failed. So it's my fault. I'm sorry, and it's off to him now. But he's going to work on his report through the rest of the month and wants to have it done by the end of June. So that's a status update there. Yeah, I know we can, and I'll call at the same time I send the form on and kind of talk with them, unless there's someone who had a particular interest in speaking with them kind of while he's in the process of thinking about and writing up his report.
Tom, I'm willing to talk with him if that's of help to you.
Yeah, that would be great.
And just to add, the general management plan, I think it was Brian and Mike are on that subcommittee. I'll just give a quick update on that. I spent a little bit of time going through just looking at general management plans that were developed for other town lands and so on and so forth. And I think most of us agreed at the last meeting that this property, as we went back and looked at the will, was donated to the town really as a recreation park, not as a town forest. And as I read through the will, it was pretty evident to me that when she donated this land, she really said you can have forestry, but really only as needed. And, historically, the town, after it received this property in 1955, then went in the 1960s and just hammered the land for the income, which was really contrary to the purpose for which the individual or the family had actually donated it to the town for. And I think when we had the discussion at the last meeting, we were really looking, not that we objected to forestry up there, but we would rather see sort of long-term management that would try to get us back to some bigger, larger trees that just had more aesthetic appeal, and in the long run would have the potential to be logs that have high value as opposed to just going in there and cutting every 5 years to make $500 to $1,000 to sell to the biomass market or whatever, the low end market. Because when you go through that lower part of the forest in particular, there's hardly any trees in there still that are much bigger than 8-9 inches in diameter. It's still a pretty skinny forest. And the other thing, and Tom and I talked about this for a few minutes the other night, really with the general management plan, the forest management plan actually should be subsidiary to the general management plan, not be the driver of the general management plan, understanding the purpose for which this property was given to the town. So when we talk with a forester, we ought to make sure that he's on board, understanding that we're really looking at long-term management here that is complementary to the recreational and other uses up there, as opposed to this is a town forest, which the intention was essentially to generate income for the town, because that's not what this land was donated to. Unlike some towns that own town forests for that particular purpose, this land was not donated for that purpose, and we should get the forest management plan to catch up and complement the general management plan, not be contradictory to it.
Excellent.
And Brian and I'll pass this on to Mike. I will try to get out a draft, which we discussed before, for a general management plan. Then we can sort of take a look at that draft, and this will just be a straw man version. Then you and Mike can sort of get your input as to what's missing, what we should change. And then once we've done that, we can bring it back to the full commission to look at before we try to advance it in front of the town. And quite frankly, I think it'll be better if we try to advance it with the town post-COVID, not during the COVID.
Yep.
Yeah, it would be hard to have a large meeting this way.
Yeah.
Okay, that all sounds great.
So if you want to, Tom, if you want to pass on to me the forester's information, I can contact him directly.
Great, yeah, I will do that. I will do that. Okay, anything else for Prospect Farm? All right, so next agenda item was Gray's Inn. I guess the update is it's still there. You can still get books from the library if you wait out front. I don't have anything for Gray's Inn. Anything from anyone?
No, I used it the other day. It's looking pretty good. There's a couple trees down, but nothing in particular. I would like to talk about maybe trying to build another trail in there when we catch up on a couple other things. So just walked a couple different sections up on the ridge. That just seems to be nice to have another trail in there for, same thing, multi-use, bike, hike, snowshoe.
Yeah.
Where's the boundary? You get up to, I forget what the loop trail, where the big glacial erratic is?
Yeah, correct. Right. That's the upper boundary.
Okay.
Then as you work your way over towards the Nestle Nook, there's a sign. If you stay on the lower road, it shows you when you're entering Nestle Nook property, but
yeah,
it's pretty obvious if you're going that way. And then it goes around that little development on your way to Nestle Nook, and it's pretty clearly defined in there, but quite wet. That's like probably the wettest area.
Yeah.
So up high.
Okay, yeah, sounds like a great idea. All right, Gray's Inn, annual conservation easement monitoring. I can work with Pam to make sure the letters go out and pass on what I have for those. And we still all have our assignments for the 6 different properties, which we do monitoring.
That's the case even with Bill stepping down, or?
No, that's a good. I was just thinking about that. No, Bill did do the monitoring on. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting the family's name, but the farm on Carter Notch Road.
Tony?
Tony?
Yeah, he did the Tilneys. So be looking for someone who'd be interested to take on that bit of monitoring, which is usually the process is we send out the letter, we call the landowner, and then you can ask to walk the boundaries if you'd like. That particular one, you can see it all from the road, but you can monitor as you see fit. And that one is one of the ones which we also have to submit a report to SPNIF.
And I believe that their property should have increased too.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure that they put the remaining
Property across the street into current.
land into,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think so.
Yes, that's my understanding too, that the rest of that property went into that conservation easement to increase it in size, and that they chose not to do current use for it.
Oh, they chose not, okay, that's right.
Yeah, it's a good point. So we should actually get the updated agreement. I don't know that I've seen it. I mean, I don't know that I've seen really the original one, to be honest, but and it does remind me, actually, probably right before COVID, I've gotten a reminder email to make sure that we had actually submitted all of the everything to SPNIF that we need to, from all of us that do conservation easement for those properties that are also, that SPNIF has an interest. So I guess I can check. I can log in and look to see if Bill did his, but otherwise I think it's Bill and then me and then Brian. I think, are those the 4 properties? Your 2 properties, Brian, go together.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. That's it for the conservation easement monitoring. And what is next? All right, wetlands. Nothing on wetlands. To my knowledge, we have not received any new wetland applications that we need to take any action. I believe, I haven't followed this as closely as I should, that so last year the governor somewhat relaxed the applications process for wetlands approval. So it's possible we will be seeing fewer wetlands application that the Conservation Commission needs to act on to make them expedited. Correctly, basically what could be kind of be self-expedited increased, and there was a smaller grouping that needed town input before it was passed on to the state. Nonetheless, none that I've heard of or seen. All right, that's what I've got it for all of the regular old business items. Anything new from anyone?
Just me.
Nice.
Great.
Anything you want to talk about, Ben? Anything on your mind?
No, I'm sure the getting up to speed process is going to be slightly different, but I look forward to work days. So
Good.
So
Great.
Ben, maybe you'd like to come down and help us put some sod in down. Excellent.
I was just going
forgot-
to mention, Tom. Oh, go ahead.
So you say, was Bill, who are the speaking of wetlands, to back up a little bit, who are the 3 of us who have been kind of the wetlands subcommittee to go do the in-person looks? Have that
Me, you, and Mark. I don't know whoever took Mark's spot. Was Bill?
I think Jeff had said filled Mark's spot.
Okay.
Well, I think I did, but I don't think we ever reviewed one since I came on. So
Okay.
All right. Yeah. Well, yeah, that can remain the 3 of us, you know, if someone else is interested. And obviously all 7 people are welcome to go look at the actual wetland applications that we review when we get them. Just often, if we need to look at them quickly, it was easier to have the 3 people meet up, and then you don't have to post the meeting as well. But everyone is welcome to go look when we do have them to review. Okay, great. Yeah, and once we schedule the work session, we'll just have to decide, if there's more than 4 of us, we'll just have to post it at a public meeting as a work session public meeting, and somehow word it so that the public is invited, but perhaps not encouraged to attend. So we don't really get into more than the 10 people questions and all of that.
Just
we'll
word it
take the
just like
first
that.
4 people that show up.
Yeah.
Say you're welcome to come, but not encouraged.
You're
Great.
welcome to come, but it's hard work.
Yeah,
It's
you're not
hard
encouraged.
work. You have to stand 6 feet away from everyone. Otherwise, you have to go swimming.
And it could be buggy and
Minimum of
rain.
12 hours.
So that means if we work at the falls and there's more than 3 of us, we have to post it?
That is correct. If there's ever 4 of us at any one spot, we have to post it. That's anything.
I
Yeah.
don't think we have to post the work sessions. I mean,
Two
the,
separate groups of 3.
Yeah. We've always posted them, Ken. I couldn't tell you
Okay.
whether we do or not, but that was the tradition that if there was going to be more than 4 of us, we would post it as a work session where we wouldn't be discussing regular business, but would be there at quorum where theoretically we could discuss something and vote on it.
We've never had more than 2 people help us in
yeah.
all those postings.
One time there was a big turnout,
Yeah,
like
It's
maybe
true.
5.
We did have a posse once.
All right. That's what I had. Thank you everyone for coming to our first meeting this way. And I guess we could also discuss, depending what happens on the 15th. Well, I guess this will be Jeff saying this next time, but that if it's outside, if there's that strict prohibition on in-person meetings, period, even if they're not inside the town office.
I could reach out to the town and ask them if there's a policy on.
And Jeff, you may want to check with the town whether they've got a Zoom account.
Yeah. They may prefer that I use that one.
Right.
Rather than my work one. So that would be fine with me. I'll ask them about that too.
Yeah, that would be a great question, which I did not ask. The initial emails I had with the town office, I got the distinct impression there was not a town Zoom account, but maybe by now there is, because this is normal. But I never specifically asked.
Should we set a date for the next meeting?
Yeah.
Be it in person or Zoom?
Yeah. I guess we have some freedom. Do we all? For people's
Still work.
schedules?
I don't know, that works for me. I mean, it's good to, I don't know, if we change it up, well, keeping it consistent is kind of good.
All right. I will note that the first Monday in July is the 6th, which is the Monday, the 4th of July. I don't know if that impacts anyone.
Well, let me suggest we just schedule the next one for the 13th.
Okay. Yeah.
Makes sense.
All right. July 13th, 5:30. Most likely by Zoom. And sometime before then, we will probably see each other at the falls, right? Sounds like.
Hopefully, yeah.
Who's going to pick that date? How does that come about?
The 13th?
No, the falls.
I think it'll be driven by Pam and the sod delivery.
Okay.
And Brian was going to talk to me. So once we know we've got the money secured, then I can order the loan and order the sod.
Well, we
Yes.
have the
I mean,
money here.
I think we could bend the rules and just order it now if you want.
Yeah. That's
I think.
that was my,
I can order it now.
that was my next question of when I talked to him, what's the date we would want it ideally?
I would suggest that we first try to go through the trust, because I mean, that's where the funds should actually come from.
Mhm.
Because the other fund that Tom is talking about, if we looked at, and I mean, add on to Prospect Farm or something, we're
I
chipping
agree.
away at the principle that we have, which was actually created for this kind of purpose and not for this. And if we proceed ahead and make the order before you get approval from the the trustees of the trust, that's a good way to get a poison relationship with them right off.
Yes, I guess I was suggesting that would be the bending the rules part of it.
Yeah.
If there was
What
a
I, yeah.
constraint on us.
And what I
But if
found
there's-
here is you could order the sod, and then the Julie's paid for it, and then you could schedule it at any time with the sod company as to when it would be delivered. They were very flexible.
I do agree with Ken that we do risk stepping on toes if we order it before we have approval, the way the
Yeah.
process works.
Yeah, so we'll just wait. We'll just wait.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just
And
good
I
to
say
know.
it for a second reason, because I know that the selectmen are trying to figure out ways not to spend anything, some sums already that have been approved because of the town's concern about, people's ability to pay property taxes and so on and so forth. So they've cut back on some of that. So I think it would be good to get approval, even though this won't affect the taxpayer because it's out of an account that was set up for this purpose, that has been pre-funded a long time ago.
Yeah, I guess that's something we could discuss also as a commission is, I know we have a very tiny budget that comes out of the tax funded part of the town's budget. Out of the other accounts or not, but we're really talking about what, $1,400 here. It's not really a giant amount of money.
Yeah, but the problem is the town only gave us 1,500 by the time we
Yeah.
it was in the second.
Yes, yeah. Well, I was saying by the time we pay the Conservation Commission dues, that's $200. So we really have 1,300 left out of that 1,500.
Yeah.
We
My
can't pay the dues.
suggestion, Tom, is when you get around to doing signs and some of that small stuff up there, which is not in the numbers that Pam has given us, that let's look at using those monies at that time if we want to put it up some signage and stuff, as opposed to having to go back to the Jackson Trust again.
Okay. Sounds like a plan to me. All right. I think that's it. Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All right, second out there.
Brian will second that.
Yeah, it's just Brian seconds. Tom's in favor of adjourning the meeting. Pam, are you?
Okay. Aye.
Ben,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
great. All right. Thanks, everyone. I think that was everyone. I think we had all of the motioners and everyone agreed.
Right. And Tom, you
All right.
set stuff on the Forester?
Yes, I will.
All right, good night, all.
Thanks.
All right.
Night. Thank
Good
you.
to see everyone. Thanks for
Bye.
joining, Ben.
All right.
Good night.
See you later.